never be lost again, for in this song always true. Hello everybody, Cody here. It's so wonderful to feel you all at this time, to connect with you all. Today we're going to be doing a tarot reading. We're also going to be taking some questions from the Divine Creators with Cody Singh Facebook group. So we're going to scroll through that. We're going to see what questions that you guys have, any readings, any messages, any channeled messages from the guides that are relevant to those questions we're going to share here for the collective. Okay, keep in mind those of you who have posted photos and are inquiring about readings, just keep in mind there will be some specific elements to the reading as well that are specific for that person. But what you will find is, if I'm guided to read this person in this video, of course there are messages within that download that are relevant to most of you watching in some capacity. So do listen with your heart, listen with your emotional intelligence, listen with your intuition, and see what pings from Spirit's perspective, right? We are 2 points of perspective. We are physical perspective, and then we are also non-physical perspective, right? So we are this physical being, then there's also our higher self that is existing in a timeless space. And our job in life, our only job, is to align with that frequency. And when we have created a direct channel from our higher self to us here in this life, that is true abundance. That is when all of our needs are met. That's when we acquire the resources that we need for a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of peace, joy, harmony, and bliss. Okay, everything that we could possibly need comes to us when we allow that in, right? It's already created from a vibrational perspective. In the quantum universe, everything is already done. So if we're having a thought or a desire that's pinging in our consciousness, that is signaling to us what is available to us, whether that's a positive thought or a negative thought, right? Now, what is the most optimal choice of a life is obviously, choosing light, right? So we want to, physically manifest and align with the most optimal life path, right? As opposed to a thought path that's aligned with a stream of thoughts that's in a wavelength of, negativity, negative emotion. Now, the reason why we have a hard time accessing that channel is because we do have fears, doubts, shame, guilt, all of these different emotions that we are, holding on to because of X, Y, or Z. Perhaps you may see yourself as a righteous person. That's hard to get over this guilt, this shame. So we're punishing ourselves subconsciously. And that inhibits our ability, right, to access our abundance, our joy, our peace in life. That is available to us. We're constantly fluctuating energy. We're constantly receiving different thoughts based on different wavelengths that we're tuned into. So what we're going to do today is tune into our higher spirit's perspective, right? And understand that the feedback that we receive from that channel when we open it is always the right direction. And we know it's the right direction because it feels good. How do you connect to your intuition? You connect to your intuition, your higher self, by tuning into how you feel. Emotions, how you feel is so important. Whether it's good or bad, we have to acknowledge it, because how can we interpret our intuition if we're not feeling it through our bodies? We can't desensitize ourselves from how we feel. We have to learn how to move through how we feel so that we know how to process those downloads that we are receiving from our guides, right? So a number of you are still commenting on the tarot reading, which I'm very eager to jump into today. So there are 3 cards, okay? And I'm going to post, I'm going to show you guys the photo here in the video as well. For those of you who are just seeing this for the first time on the video, you can choose card 1, 2, or 3, whichever one you feel called to is relevant for you. And the question today is, what is in my best interest to know at this point in time regarding my life or my situation at hand, okay? So we're going to go through we're going to go through the 3 cards, and we're just going to, again, set the intention to receive insights from higher spirit, relating to how we personally relate to our card selection, okay? So the first card that we chose here for number 1, okay, is the King of Wands. Okay, so again, considering this question, what is the question? It says, what is in my best interest to know at this point in time regarding my life or my situation at hand? What do you need to know at this time? What you need to know at this time is you are a leader. In fact, you are a strong leader, and you do have a light of influence to you. There is power there for you to tap into, whether that is just your influence, your charisma, your charm, whatever makes you feel in your power is something that you need to remember at this time in terms of your success, your love life as well, in terms of personal security in life, abundance levels as well, okay? I just want to go through and see if there's anyone specific who chose that card first. I'm just going to scroll here, and we're just going to see if anyone chose the 1. A lot of you were choosing 2, and okay, we do have a few 1s. Okay. And again, I'm seeing who it is as well who are choosing these 1s. So this is the benefit of when you actually, write down what card selection you have, is I'll be able to tune into you more specifically as well. So a few of you chose 1, and I can definitely say for those of you who chose 1, you are a strong leader. You do have a light of influence to you in the sense that there are opinions they show me. Like, they show me opinions and thoughts and viewpoints that hold a lot of power. And when you share those viewpoints with people, people reckon with that power. People are like, okay, I feel power behind your statements. Okay, I feel the influence behind your statements. I know there's consciousness behind your statements. I know there's consciousness to who you are. Okay, I know this is a person that can be, someone that either I follow or I admire or use as, just a guide in some form. You know what I mean? Those of you who have chosen this do have a consciousness that, when shared with others in need, and it does come to you, they show me. So these are downloads. That's the symbol that they are showing me, is those of you who chose this card will sometimes be hit with an energy that comes through you that's like, okay, I'm feeling so drawn to tell this person or to teach this person about their emotions or about how they feel or about consciousness. There's something there like that you can intuit, okay, I know this is a person that I can work with, and I know that I can guide them. This is also a symbol for, when you are being a leader in your own way, either a leader or a leader by example. There are elements to your life that people would admire and be like, okay, at least you in your power, right? When you are in your power is definitely something that people would look to. And that is what leads to whatever sort of success you are looking for in your life. Again, there is this light of influence. So that is the point of attraction for you, either for the career or the partner or the security or the house or whatever you're looking to attain at this time, okay? So the next card that we chose, or for a number of you did choose actually, let's look here. We do have a lot of 2s and a lot of 3s as well. So you notice, this card is in horizontal. The number 2 card is in horizontal, and that's really fascinating to me because, again, I work as a channel. I'm not particularly a tarot reader. I just pick the cards and then I hear the messages and then I relay what I'm receiving. And that happens not with just words, it happens with picking the cards as well. I always attribute it to sort of like a Ouija board planchette. If you've ever done that with people, don't ever do that alone. Don't ever do it in general, honestly. It's just like opening a door, you know what I mean? It's like opening your front door of your house and being like, whoever wants to come in, you know, it's like, you know, we do have to have really good boundaries when we do that sort of thing. But I use that, or like a pendulum, as an example, because they will use my body to like pull me to a card, and they, you know, and you'll see me, you know, when I choose them, if you've ever done sessions with me, for example, you know, they will have me kind of fiddling with the card. Okay, is it upright? Is it, you know, and before I flip it, you'll see me. And then once in a while, very rarely, you know, there'll be a card that's like, ooh, horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. And what that means is you're dancing between two things here. So again, let's take into consideration, what is the question? So it says, what is in my best interest to know at this point in time regarding my life or the situation at hand? So the card that is number 2 is the Page of Cups in horizontal. So the reason why it was horizontal is because you're dancing between the upright and the reverse positioning of this card. So the upright position of this card really represents creative opportunities, intuitiveness, artistic or curious, possibility focused, and also new love in your life. But the reverse would sort of be, the reverse represents emotional immaturity, right? Feeling a little bit naive, daydreaming, insecure, irrational or creative blocks. Okay, so those of you who picked this card are caught in the middle of something. Futility, uncertainty, dancing between this belief of knowing that there are things in store for you, because you know that you are special deep down. We all are. You know that, right? But also you're dancing between self-doubt and really criticizing yourself, and really internalizing the voice of people from your past, from your childhood, you know, that, you know, sort of, you know, infused your thoughts with these doubts or logic or rationality. Let me tell you something about spirit. Spirit is not rational, not by society's standards. Okay, what we are doing here is not rational, but it is helpful, and it is consciousness. And so I say that because, and I'm being guided to say that because, of course, we can't look for logic and rationality in the process of us becoming who we are. It's not rational to think that we are successful and full of light when we're feeling in the depths of despair. That is not a rational thought. But is it true? Absolutely, it's true. And you do need to accept that that is true in order to move in the direction of that. So this card is telling me that there is a clear path available to you, but it is so overshadowed at this time, or often overshadowed. So you'll step into moments like where you really believe in yourself, and you really believe in your path, and your viewpoints and your opinions and your consciousness. But then, like, you know, when you're around other people, it will like reactivate those old thought patterns, those old vibrations around, you know, you need to take life more seriously. You need to do the logical things to do. You know what I mean? Look, there are certain logical things that we all do need to do. You know, we all need to take care of our children. You know, we all need to go to work. We do need to show up for the people that, you know, we have made commitments to, you know, oftentimes. But also we do need to listen, again, going back to emotions. We do need to listen to ourselves. And when we do believe in ourselves, that is just as valid. That's more valid than any of this thought that's creeping in. That's just resistance. That is just a little piece of resistance that's coming in the way between where you are and where you want to be. And you will always be pulled back by that self-doubt. You know what I mean? So that can come, you know, in the way of like, you know, you may see yourself as a creative person, for example, but because, you know, you do second guess things a lot, you can encounter a lot of creative blocks, you know. And when I ask the guides, like, what is the solution here, you know, for eliminating that resistance, the point of resistance. So again, there are creative opportunities, and there are places to explore your curiosity or potential or possibility. So when I inquire the guides around a solution here, like what can we do to alleviate this sort of futility that we have going on here? And what they're showing me are cords. They show me corded relationships. They show me a lot of people surrounding you guys that have picked this card that represent your old consciousness, the old paradigm of you, right? So how much does your current life actually reflect the consciousness that you have, received and really in many ways abide by, because you are on here, right? And you do consume this content. You are into spirituality, and you do know these basic frameworks of energy and law of attraction and things like this for most of you. So what is the solution here? They're saying to limit your time spent with these particular individuals. They say protect your ideas, protect your consciousness, protect what you believe in, and don't assume that when you share that with everybody that they will be receptive. And in fact, if you're sharing that with a lot of people from your past or people that represent the old paradigm, they have a lot more momentum behind the energy of their lower consciousness, so that will take you over like a wave, like a big wave at a beach that just kind of pulls you under. It is difficult to come against a very powerful current, whether it's a good current or negative current. Whatever has more momentum is the dominant energy in the room, and that will take over your consciousness. So what are thoughts, right? What are thoughts? What are beliefs? They are energetic threads, right? They are threads of energy. Consciousness is energy. So when you are surrounding yourself with that energy that is influencing your consciousness, it is influencing the way you think and what you feel. The thoughts that come to you are going to be those negative thoughts, and you're going to be convinced that that's true because that is what those people around you think. So you have to be very careful about who you spend time with, and protect your ideas, protect your heart. They keep saying protect your ideas, and so like protect your consciousness, protect your viewpoints. Don't contaminate your viewpoints. That's what they're saying. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Protect your visions until you have enough momentum behind it where nothing anyone can say or do will stop you. Protect it, okay? And the last card again, I'm just going to read the question again. What is in my best interest to know at this point in time regarding my life or the situation at hand? The third card, a number of you chose this card as well, okay? So I'm just receiving their message here. So this card is the High Priestess, okay? So this card is a reminder, this is more of a subtle reminder for those of you who picked this card to tune into your intuition. Or again, a huge part of today's message again is tuning into how you feel, right? So being in tune with how we feel tunes us into our intuition, because our intuition again is processed through our bodies. When you receive a powerful instinct about something, you feel that in your whole body, right? That's because your intuition is not just up here, it's your whole body, it's your whole being, right? So we have to be in tune with our whole vessel in order to receive intuition and insights. We have to be able to detect those fluctuations of energy, right? Be sensitive with yourself. You possess a very, very high consciousness, those of you who chose this card, okay? Protect your awareness, protect your consciousness as well, right? This is a card of the divine feminine. So receptivity is really key for you right now. Compassion for yourself, okay? Being sensitive toward yourself right now, particularly, okay? Is very, very key. Let's see here. Okay, they're showing me my symbol of, downloads, but in a different way than we talked about downloads before. They're showing me actual vision. So this is for clairvoyance. A number of you may have clairvoyance that is opening up. What is clairvoyance? Clairvoyance is clear seeing. It means clear seeing in Latin. So it's the visual component to intuition. little images. They're also showing me the images is not just intuition for you. They're showing me images because they're saying, oh, use your imagination. What's here? So yes, visions in terms of clairvoyance and opening up your intuition in that way. Clarity of vision, they're saying. Clarity of vision, that's what they said. Which means your vision is coming into focus right now. That's what they're saying for those of you who chose this card. Your vision is coming into focus right now. So pay mind to and trust yourself, and subtly, it'll feel very subtle. It's not going to feel like a big leap. You know, a big leap indicates there's a big vibrational gap from where you are and where you are going. Now, when you are truly a vibrational match to the shift, it should feel literally just like a step. You know, it should feel very natural, and it should feel very at ease because it's not a leap, it's just a step. That's when you know you're a vibrational match, okay? So trust yourself and listen to the subtleties. You got, those of you who chose this card are, at least in this moment, more receptive to your intuition, and they're just saying, like, trust that because it's very subtle. They keep saying it's subtle. You know, the shifts are subtle, okay? You know, the little hits that you'll get, the little intuitions are subtle because you are subtly tuned into yourself right now. Not meaning like you're just a little bit tuned into yourself. You're tuned into yourself enough where you can detect energy, yourself and other people's energies. So it's like this intuition is developed, and if your intuition is developed, you're also listening to your guidance about yourself as well. So if you're someone that identifies with a high intuition, then you are somebody that trusts yourself. So you know, this is a reminder to lean into that and to develop that, to cultivate that, and to keep trusting yourself, because that will get better. I know it's like maybe not 100% there all the time, but lean into it more because you're almost there. That's the message for those of you, okay, who chose that particular card, okay? So what I'm going to do now is just go through the group. A number of you have asked lovely questions, very, very interesting questions as well. So what we're going to do is now just kind of navigate some of these questions, and I'm just going to use my intuition as well to kind of just feel out where we are going here and who we are feeling to read at this time, and also setting the intention for the ones that we are reading for those messages to be relevant for those of us who are currently watching this video, okay? Dene says, "Hi everyone, I'm not sure whether he has been discussed in the group or not. I stumbled on this book, and while being a bit sick on the couch, I started reading it. I cannot put it down. I had no idea who Michael Jackson actually was." So this person is inquiring about Michael Jackson's aura colors and galactic origins. So Michael Jackson's aura colors are indigo, violet, and those are actually my aura colors as well. Indigo, violet, usually, sometimes indigo, crystal. It does change. Usually when I'm doing videos like this, the violet comes in because violet has that presence, that spiritual visionary self, and it just occupies a lot of strength and spiritual awareness, but also anchored in like this desire and passion to get the message out, you know, and to be of influence. That is very synonymous with violet. Now indigo, any color can be public figures, but often indigos are a little bit reclusive in the sense that they're so absorbent, right? Empathically, in terms of information as well, they absorb information. They spend a lot of time alone and observing, right? So Michael Jackson has, you know, that element to him as well. But then also, of course, he is this massive figure in the world, during his time. And he, certainly was very much a very powerful influence as well. So that does tend to the violet. It's also spiritual. It's also heart. Violets have a big heart, so they feel very deeply. Oprah Winfrey also is indigo violet as well. So that introspective nature she does have, but also she has that that immense influence and popularity, that a lot of the violets can have, and Michael Jackson's Pleiadian. So Miriam, hi Miriam. Miriam says, and thank you again, Sene, for that question. I just love any opportunity that we have to just, discuss more about auras. I just love that a number of you have been identifying with the aura empowerment segments in the group where, we just really are able to understand ourselves a little bit more by understanding our colors. We understand other people by understanding their colors as well. You know what I mean? And I have tons of stuff like that on my YouTube, on my website, and on the Divine Creators with Cody Singh group for those of you interested in learning more about that, of course. I'll probably do more videos around that as well if you guys are interested. So again, Miriam says, I've been feeling lots of anxiety in the last days and also lots of heartache around connection. Was wondering if anyone intuitively sees or hears something they want to share, or if there's any messages for me coming through. There are some messages coming through for you, Miriam. And what I'm seeing is a number of things. I might have to write this down just to keep track of it all because there's a lot coming through. So I'm just going to grab some things. I don't have my notepad with me, so finding things to write on here. So Miriam, what I'm seeing for you, I'm seeing my symbol for neuroplasticity. So they're showing me at this time you're like very, very in your head. They're showing me like in your head and limited in connection and conversation and quality conversation with other people. So when we're feeling isolated in some ways or not connecting with people as much for a period of time or a long period of time, that adjusts the neuroplasticity in our brains, where the neural pathways have sort of so chemically in the brain, you're creating neural pathways that are acclimatized to being alone, to being isolated, and to being inside of your head and in your thoughts, right? Now, you might notice when even you get involved in more like kinetic movement or get out literally outside and start talking to other people and connecting more, you're creating new neural pathways, new associations in the brain, and you're creating more established neuroplasticity in your brain, which biochemically in your brain, of course you are used to, not connecting as much in that way that that you do need. Now, this doesn't mean that you haven't done this before in the past ever. Of course you have. But at this period of time, they're showing me, okay, she's been a little bit withdrawn lately and not engaging as much with other people or trying new things. They're encouraging you to try new activities or activities out where you can talk and connect with other people. It actually doesn't really matter who they are. Just make sure they're not toxic people, of course. The better the people, obviously the better the connection, but ultimately we're training the brain here. This is a chemical thing in your brain at this point. But of course that it does relate to our behavioral patterns and our energy. So we need to be exposed to different energy in order to align the adequate brain chemistry, and chemical responses in our bodies and our minds, right? In order to feel more normal, in order to alleviate anxiety, there are a number of ways to manage this. but they are showing me connection, and just like getting out will help you literally get out of your head, because that's where all of this anxiety is coming from, just being in the head. And that's where the ego lives. The ego lives right in their head, where, you know, we are just trying to negotiate, and, you know, it's very tiresome, and it would leave us isolated ultimately. And the ego doesn't stop until we are isolated and completely alone. So we have to expose ourselves to different sort of environments and energies in order to train that neuroplasticity, the neural pathways, you know. Okay, so that's an interesting response that I've got from the guides for you, Miriam, because a lot of times it's more just energetic or emotional counseling, but they did want to mention those behavioral patterns and how that affects the brain as well, right? So this next question is from Steffi. Steffi says, "Hi Cody and all, feeling much resistance to showing myself here like this. So I appreciate you, Steffi, for being so vulnerable." It says, "But I also want to be present as authentic as possible in my vulnerable state. Please ignore the t-shirt." So I've been in the process of going off my antidepressants, completely off since April. Wow. And returning to my natural energy. Unless I am some way distracted or inebriated, I'm finding it harder to bear. Okay. So is it somehow possible to see my aura, why this is manifesting, how I might be able to transmute this? Okay, the well of sadness and grief seems endless. I want to be glad to be here, but I genuinely don't remember the last time I truly felt that way, if ever. Thank you in advance to anyone who might feel called to respond. So we are going to respond, Steffi. And thank you just for being so vulnerable. I know what you're going through right now is something that so many of us go through. People all over the world go through this. It's really, you know, a pandemic, an emotional pandemic, because there are so many people who are so emotionally repressed, have gone through so much trauma, where it's like, how could I possibly engage with my emotions when my emotions feel so bad? So how could I possibly connect to myself, my heart, my body, if it feels so rotted inside, if it feels so hurt, if it feels so painful? Why would I connect with that? I want to say, like, you are completely valid, you know what I mean, to not want to deal with the emotions. I understand why you went on antidepressants. That is how we deal with emotions in our society of today, and that's part of this emotional pandemic that we have been in for a long time, longer than any of us have been around. But what's wonderful is we are in this emotional awakening simultaneously, where we do have spaces where we can help, you know, us slowly tune back into our bodies, into our emotions, into how we feel, and to not feel alone. The great thing about what you did here is you put yourself out there, you were feeling vulnerable, and you put yourself out there in a place where you can be received. There's a lot of emotional intelligence in this group, or groups like this, you know? So I want you to know that you've done the first step already. You've done the first step of opening your heart, right? How do we receive love if we're blocking our own hearts, right? So you've done that. Now it's about the energy catching up. It's about staying consistent so that energy can catch up with who you are in your heart and in your emotions and in your body. So when I do look at your aura, yes, of course, these things that you talked about are certainly visible within the aura. So there's walls, right? Overlays, for example, you know, and I call them heart walls as well. So there's a little bit of a heart wall that is attributed to pain from your past. You know, you have gone through things in your past as a childhood that has inhibited you, right, from being able to connect emotionally with yourself and with others. So we know what the problem is. The problem is we can't connect with our emotions right now. You know, you're having a difficult time opening your heart, when opening your heart is the solution, because opening your heart makes you available to love and to connection. But you have a lot of untreated trauma. So I know you said you've come off of antidepressants. Were you just seeing a doctor, or were you seeing a therapist doctor where they can prescribe medication and also work with you emotionally? So the way that you are opening up here implies to me that, emotional work is not something that is completely foreign to you. You do know that what needs to be done is emotional processing. You need to move through these emotions, because if we're not moving through these emotions, we're not being access to our intuition. We don't have access to how we feel. We don't have access to that navigation system of our emotions, right? So reading this part, it says, the well of sadness and grief seems endless. I want to be glad to be here, but I genuinely don't remember the last time I truly felt that way, if ever. So the reason why you can't remember the last time you have felt this way, or the reason why, you have this well of sadness and endless grief, is because if we were to look at you like just consciousness, right? And that consciousness determines your life experience. The thorn in there that is inhibiting the harmony of this consciousness is the thought that you are holding on to. That thought may be subconscious because it is trauma that we have dissociated from, trauma that we just don't want to think about, and trauma that in some ways we have learned to avoid thinking about that in order to keep moving forward in life. But what happens when we keep moving forward in life and this situation is still here and not processed or moved through emotionally yet is, there's a point where we can only go so far without this coming back. It's always going to pull us back, right? So we need to address that. We need to talk about pain. We need to talk about the themes of your inner child. What did your inner child go through, that made her so afraid? I see fear. I see a little panic as well, and that can be attributed to anything. Remember, when we're talking about children, it doesn't have to be an extremely traumatic incident that we associate with trauma, in society. It could just be a child, that needs weren't met, that triggered a biochemical response in the brain that feels like panic. But regardless of why you are feeling that way, there is that emotion there that we do need to move forward with and process, So I'm just writing a couple things down that I'm seeing. Okay, we need to make her feel safe to move forward, and she doesn't feel safe. She feels afraid. She's like hypervigilant. So this is the residual response from that little version of you from your past, that inner child that is literally begging for love and attention and consideration and to be held, to be held and to be safe. When we don't move through those childhood emotions, that child just makes himself known in our adult bodies in the form of anxiety, in the form of panic, things like that. Sadness, grief, right? The grief is there because you're grieving yourself, you're grieving yourself that you've left behind. So we need to go back there and we need to, offer her love because she deserves that love, and she deserves to feel safe in this world because she has so much to offer and so much light to give in all the different forms that light may take for you. And people would be so grateful to receive from you. We need to open the heart again. And we do that by processing our pain, So that's what I will leave with you in this format, Steffi. Sending you so much love. And I think that's a wonderful way to end here today. Just sending you all so much love. I hope that you were able to get something from this, a little bit of guidance. And if you did, please let me know in the comments, because the feedback really does help me, frame the next videos, topics, and be sure to leave your comments or questions as well that we can address in future videos if interested. Alrighty, sending you guys so much love from my heart genuinely to you. Take care, bye-bye. Never be lost again, for in this song always move.